It's Thursday, November 19th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, bringing you the latest local news, including the sentencing of a man who was a person of interest in a Darien police officer's murder years ago, a Greenwich man's body found in Fairfield, and much more. Rob Adams will be joining me with sports and weather, and Donald Eng will take a look back on this day in history. And later, Josh Fisher will join me to take a look at the front pages of our HAN network newspapers this week. But first, on to today's news. The only person of interest in the 34-year-old unsolved murder of a Darien police officer was sentenced to more than 13 years in prison for drug trafficking in Hartford. The judge found Wednesday that Anthony Sabato supplied the firearm that was used in the murder of Darien police officer Kenneth Bateman on May 31st, 1981. 57-year-old Sabato of West Haven was sentenced in Hartford to 13 years in prison, followed by 5 years of supervised release for trafficking crack cocaine. During his sentencing, in addition to noting Sabato's lengthy criminal history, the judge found that he had supplied the firearm in the officer's murder. Following the sentencing, Sergeant Jeremiah Marin of the Darien Police Department noted for the first time that his department helped initiate that investigation. Marin said to the Darien Times, "We are satisfied with the 5-month-long investigation we initiated along with the West Haven Police using our undercover officers." Marin went on to say that we are pleased with the sentence being what it is, and we are happy that the judge considered the pre-sentencing memo provided by attorney Tracy Lee Dayton as being both relevant and essential to the sentencing of Sabato. According to court documents and statements made in court, from about March 2013 to March 2015, Sabato conspired to distribute crack cocaine. During the investigation of this matter, an undercover officer purchased crack from Sabato and his co-defendant, Miguel Roman of Hartford. The investigation also revealed that Sabato was selling prescription narcotics. Sabato and Roman were both arrested on March 24th after they sold about 2 ounces of crack to the undercover officer in exchange for $4,000. A search of Sabato's residence on that date revealed crack cocaine, powder cocaine, 2 digital drug scales, narcotic paraphernalia, and about 10 mobile phones. Sabato had been detained since his arrest. On July 6th, he pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to distribute and possess with intent to distribute 280 grams or more of cocaine. There's a lot more on that story at DarienTimes.com. A 60-year-old Greenwich man who went missing from a Mill Hill Road nursing home November 1st was found dead Tuesday morning in a wooded area next to the facility. Hearst, Connecticut media reports that foul play is not suspected and a police investigation into the circumstances surrounding the death is ongoing. A nursing supervisor from Fairview of Fairfield contacted police around 10:30 November 1st to report that the man, who was at the nursing home while recovering from surgery, had not been seen since 9:30 that night. According to the report, nursing home staff searched the building and the grounds but could not locate the missing man. His cell phone was found in his room. Police are not yet releasing the identity pending notification of his family. A second Fairview patient who suffers from dementia went missing the next day but was located at a relative's house. A call to the nursing home for comment was referred to the police. According to the police report, officers also searched the facility and grounds with the assistance of one of the police canines from Westport. Using a hat from the patient's room, the dog picked up the missing man's track but lost the track at the driveway. Fairfield Chief Gary McNamara said they received information that the missing man had been seen in Bridgeport, and indications were that he had left the nursing home property. He said that the man was not in any danger and his condition was such that he would have been free to leave the facility. There was also activity on his bank card during the time he was gone. Well, a memorial service will be held for Jeffrey and Jeanette Navin on Saturday, December 12th. The service will be held at 11 in the morning at the Couples Church, which is the United Methodist Church of Westport and Weston, located at 49 Weston Road in Westport. 56-year-old Jeffrey Navin was the president of J&J Refuse, a sanitation company in Westport. His wife, 55-year-old Jeanette Navin, was employed by the Weston Public School District for the past 18 years and had been a paraprofessional in the library at the Weston Intermediate School since 2005. Weston School Superintendent Colleen Palmer called her a beloved employee. The Navins lived in a home on Osborne Farm Road in Weston from 1994 until this June, when they sold their house and moved to a rental home in Easton. The couple's remains were found in an abandoned house in Weston in October. Their son, 27-year-old Kyle Navin, was arrested earlier this month and charged with their murder. His girlfriend, 31-year-old Jennifer Valiente of Westport, was charged with conspiracy to commit murder. And in other news, as Black Friday looms with the rest of the holiday shopping season, the Trumbull Police Department has begun to prepare for an increase in pedestrian traffic as well as shoplifting at one of the town's primary business hubs. That's why the Trumbull Police have opened a substation at the Westfield Trumbull Mall. It officially opened this Tuesday, located on the mall's northeastern upper level between Macy's and Lord & Taylor. The new office can be used by officers working the special duty assignments and the officers assigned to patrol that portion of town. The office, which will be open year-round, will be equipped with emergency first aid equipment, an AED, and can be used for officers to write reports as well as take complaints. Additionally, Trumbull police say the space will allow for suspects to be detained temporarily. The substation will also have a direct phone line, and the number to that is 203-371-0417. On Tuesday, Trumbull's first selectman Tim Herbst was on hand to cut the station's red ribbon, marking the Trumbull Police official presence inside and outside of the shopping outlet. Previously, the department had a substation in the mall that opened for 30-plus months before shutting down in March. The new office should have a similar life expectancy based on a lease agreement with Westfield Trumbull. And in some Bridgeport news, 2 men were arrested this week for allegedly stealing a U-Haul truck. On Monday, November 16th, a police officer on routine patrol observed a white U-Haul moving van parked near the corner of Texas Avenue and East Main Street. The same U-Haul moving van, registered in Arizona, had been reported as stolen earlier in the day. When the police officer approached the vehicle, 3 occupants, 2 men and 1 woman, were found. The operator of the vehicle was identified as 45-year-old Vito Badalamenti of Bridgeport. The male passenger of the vehicle was identified as 37-year-old Randolph Pasnick of Ansonia. Dispatch confirmed to police that the U-Haul moving van was reported as stolen, and Badalamenti stated that he had taken the vehicle from a woman and man who were returning it to the U-Haul facility on East Main Street. While in booking at the police station, Pasnick was found in possession of narcotics, 1 small bag containing a white rock-like substance, and drug paraphernalia. Pasnick was placed under arrest and charged with larceny in the first degree, illegal possession of narcotics, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Badalamenti was charged with first-degree larceny. All right, time to throw it over to Rob Adams for a look at today's weather, which I know the outlook's not so great, Rob.
No, it's not so great at all. Thanks, Kate, and good morning, everyone. We've got a rainy day, showers coming, a high near 60 if they haven't started already. Looking out at Bridgeport Avenue outside our studio, it's wet right now, but not rain falling, just kind of a damp road at the moment. Now, we'll have a wind out of the southeast from 13 to 18 miles per hour, gusts as high as 30, chance of precipitation 80%. And we'll get about 1/4 and 1/2 inch in between that range possible of rain tonight. Pretty much more of the same. Showers, possibly a thunderstorm before 1 in the morning. Kind of strange to hear thunder in the middle of November, or as we turn to late November. Showers likely. Some of the storms could produce heavy rainfall, low 49, breezy with a south wind 15 to 20, becoming south 9 to 14 after midnight. Chance of precipitation 100%, new rainfall amounts again between 3/4 and 1 inch possible. So we're going to get a lot of rain tonight. Slight chance of showers before 9 tomorrow morning, mostly sunny, high 53, northwest wind 11 to 13. The Friday night mostly clear, low 31. Saturday mostly sunny, high 48. Chance of showers on Saturday night, low 36. We'll get to 48 with a chance of showers and a partly sunny day on Sunday, back to 43. As we get the week started next week, mostly sunny as we head toward New Canaan. So busy week next week for us. We'll tell you more about it coming up during sports. We have 58 in Ridgefield, 59 in New Canaan, and right here in Shelton, 61 degrees, Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. We're going to take a quick break, come back with Donald Ang taking a look back in this day in history. Rob will have the latest sports news, and we have a lot more headlines coming up on your coffee break after this.
Had a sports injury that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist quickly. Their highly trained orthopedic professionals expertly treat you without an appointment. Skiing, snowboard, or sports accident, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk. Call 203-845-2070 or coastalorthoexpress.com. Find them on Facebook at Coastal Ortho CT.
Darien Sport Shop is a unique store because it's a family store. A busy mom can come in with kids in tow and find everything she needs for them, and even find a dress for herself for Saturday night. And if she's in a rush, she can simply go home and order it from us that night. We'll deliver it the next day. The Darien Sport Shop. We're pretty on the outside and amazing on the inside. Conveniently located with free and easy parking at 1127 Post Road, Darien, Connecticut. Or shop us online at dariensport.com.
Football University, the nation's leading football training experience, is now accepting applications for its 2015 camps. Our elite faculty of NFL coaches and top professionals teach position-specific on the field and in the classroom to improve your football IQ and help you reach your full potential as a player. Apply today at footballuniversity.org. Football University, where technique plus talent beats talent alone.
The fall bite is heating up. Albies, bonita, blackfish, alligator blues, and stripers are following the large schools of bait in the Long Island Sound. This is the time to visit the New England coast, and the Dock Shop can get you outfitted with the latest fishing gear, jackets, hats, gloves, and fleece. Boater, beach bum, fishermen simply love the New England coast. This is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, now in 2 locations, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
I'm Denise DiGregoli, the host of The Drive on the HAN Network. Join me Tuesdays for some motivational, intelligent talk with a little humor as we visit with people who live their lives mindfully. Tune in to The Drive live on Tuesdays, 12:30, here on the HAN Network.
You are watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. 102,000 viewers have enjoyed the HAN Network in just the last 6 weeks. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Jessica Murrin, Advertising Director, at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
We're back on this Thursday edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, throwing it over now to Donald Ang for a look back on this day in history. Don.
Well, Kate, it's the anniversary of arguably the most famous oration that you've probably never heard. But first we go to something you probably wish you hadn't ever heard. 1990, pop group Milli Vanilli stripped of their Grammy Award because they did not sing at all on their multi-platinum album, Girl, You Know It's True. The first public sign that this group was lip-syncing came in July of 1989 during a performance at Lake Compounce Theme Park in Bristol, Connecticut. As they performed live, the recording of the song Girl, You Know It's True jammed and began to skip, repeating the line over and over again. 1998, Vincent van Gogh's self-portrait, without beard, sells at auction for $71.5 million. The portrait was one of about 40 selfies that he had painted over the last 10 years because he lacked the funds to hire models. 2004, the Pistons Pacers brawl, also known as the Malice at the Palace, the worst brawl in NBA history. Ron Artest was suspended 86 games. With less than a minute left in the game, a fight broke out between several players. As the fight was being broken up, a fan threw a drink from the stands at Artest, who was inexplicably lying on the scorer's table. Artest then entered the crowd, sparking a massive brawl and between players and fans. 5 fans were arrested and barred from the palace for life. And finally, 1863, there was this.
77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation, or any nation so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this.
That, of course, President Abraham Lincoln delivering the Gettysburg Address at the dedication ceremony for a military cemetery at Gettysburg. Though Lincoln's speech has gone into history as one of the finest orations ever, it was former Senator and Secretary of State Edward Everett who gave the actual featured keynote speech that was initially called the Gettysburg Address. After speaking for more than 2 hours, Lincoln was then introduced to give a few appropriate remarks. Another interesting historical fact, there is no agreed upon script of the Gettysburg Address. There are 5 known manuscripts, each differing in a few minor ways. The one we consider to be the official record was written out by Lincoln a few weeks after the speech from memory and then signed as a gift to a friend. That is your look back in history, and I am Donald Ng.
All right, thanks so much, Don. You know, we used to tell people writing letters to the editor when they wanted to go way over, hey, the Gettysburg Address did a pretty good job. 263
or so words. We actually allow them twice that.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, okay, thanks so much, Don. Before we throw it over to Rob Adams for sports news, going to get back to a little more of our headlines today. The Reading Police Department announced this week it would no longer report the names and addresses of those accused of domestic violence crimes. According to Reading Police Chief Douglas Fuchs, the change is the result of a new state statute that guarantees confidentiality to the victims of domestic violence. Fuchs believes Reading is the first department in Connecticut to change its policies relative to that law. Karen Jarmuck, CEO of the Connecticut Coalition Against Domestic Violence, said the legality of reporting the names of domestic violence offenders has been a gray area for a long time in Connecticut, and she hopes that Fuchs' decision will encourage an open discussion in the state. The Connecticut law requires that all names and addresses of victims of domestic violence remain confidential and shall be disclosed only upon order of the Superior Court. Fuchs said releasing the name or addresses of the offender in most domestic violence cases results in the release of the victim's identity as well. The Reading pilot is currently investigating whether this action will violate Connecticut's Freedom of Information laws, but the decision is supported by the Connecticut Coalition Against Domestic Violence, which is the state's largest advocacy group for victims. Jarmuck, the CEO of that group, said by phone Tuesday she applauds Fuchs' decision. Jarmuck said, "This is something that has been such a challenging issue statewide. We deal with this all the time." She said if they list the name of the offender, especially in smaller communities, it's basically going to expose the victim. The policy of withholding names has led to allegations against newspapers that they're providing safe harbor to abusers. The policy of using names is met with the argument that a victim will not call 911. The director of the Connecticut Coalition says she has considered both sides and firmly believes the names of abusers should be withheld from the public. For updates on that story, visit thereadingpilot.com. All right, time to throw it over to Rob Adams with sports.
All right, Kate, good morning once again, everyone. Darien kept its Class L's crown, scoring 863 points at the state swimming title meet in Middletown on Wednesday. New Canaan came in second with 712.5. Cheshire was third, scoring 576.5. Wilton fourth with 564 points in the meet contested by 20 schools. Top performances came from Rebecca Maroney, Maggie Oram, Lee Harrison, and Laura Rutledge, winning the 200 medley relay in 146.70, and Phoebe Slaughter taking the 500 free in 456.45. Jack Duffy of Stratford High signed his national letter of intent to play baseball at Franklin Pierce University in New Hampshire. Duffy has played most of the infield positions and has also pitched, but was told by Franklin Pierce head coach Jason King that he has a chance to start at shortstop. That would please Duffy, as he happens to be a big Derek Jeter fan. Bill Bloxham reports that 2,100 people were on hand to watch Stratford High defeat Bunnell High 54-36 in the annual senior girls flag football game at Bulldog Field in Stratford. Stratford High's Sarah Wright had 4 scores on runs of 69, 25, 74, and 84 yards, so girl power to all of them. On to Berlin we go, and I wish we had better news from around the state. The CIAC Board of Control voted in a meeting Wednesday afternoon to accept a self-report from Berlin High School for violations of CIAC rules by its football program. The self-report, which was aided by an independent investigation, was for use of ineligible players and recruitment. The CIAC responded by taking all football victories this season away in which any ineligible player participated. Thus, they are now essentially 0 for the season. They prohibited the team from championship competition for the football program for 2015. They've also been placed on probation for 1 year and charged $4,000 in fines. Once again, cable TV wars have struck and the sports fan is paying the price. Comcast, with customers here in Connecticut, including the Danbury area, have pulled the Yes Network based in Stamford off their system. While baseball season is over, fans currently can't watch Brooklyn Nets-based basketball games, among other sports. Of course, Yes is the home of the New York Yankees. Of course, we're just 1 week away from the 2015 FCAC Championship on the HAN Network as Darien meets New Canaan in football. That, of course, means the 50th anniversary championship game is also the Turkey Bowl, and the HAN Network is your exclusive home for the big game with pregame activities beginning at 8 a.m. That is on Thanksgiving morning, and play-by-play coming along at 10:30. Each day, the HAN Network is spotlighting a player. You can go find it, Darien Times, NewCanaanAdvertiser.com. Here's a look at some of the best of Darien quarterback Timmy Graham. Colin Minikis, the receiver, to the right. Graham to throw. Deep ball looking for Minikis. If Minikis can adjust. Oh, he got it! A fantastic catch down near the goal line from the near hash. Graham to throw. Looks. Deep ball left side. Adjusting. Minikis. Touchdown! So now 1st and 10 at the Greenwich 18. 10-14 to go first quarter. No score. Back to throw, going to swing it right. Graham out to Grant. Grant around the right side and into the end zone. Touchdown, Blue Wave.
Graham's pass.
The Blue Wave looking for more. Looking to throw. Flipping wide open. Colin Minikis. Touchdown. Graham waits, Graham takes. Graham looking left, still looking, has a man, finds Shelby Grant. Grant dances out of bounds and now near the end zone. Yes, touchdown! From 12 yards. Graham, by the way, was the MVP of last year's FCAC championship game. Of course, had a rough game at times, but made the plays when it counted down the stretch, and they often give the MVP to the quarterback, not to take anything away from a fine game by the Darien QB. We can't forget about New Canaan, that is. Here's a look at the receiver, kicker, Peter Swindell. Slings it, man open, Peter Swindell at the 5, into the pylon. Will they give it to him? Yes, touchdown, New Canaan.
New Canaan finds the end zone. Peter Swindell by New Canaan.
This will be lined up as a 45-yard attempt with Cognetta to hold. Snap is high but good. Put down, kick up on the way. Got the distance. It is mighty good.
45-yard field goal for New Canaan that goes to
I mean, that thing would have been good from 60.
That was sharp and solid. 59 to go first half. Collins trying the out pattern, over the shoulder, Swindell, touchdown, New Canaan.
New Canaan touchdown.
With play action for Collins, steps up, deep ball wobbling, Swindell at the 20, breaks a tackle, high steps it into the end zone, touchdown, New Canaan from 56 yards. Just two of the players we'll see next Thursday at Boyle Stadium 1 week from today. In fact, we'll be off and running 1 week from right now. On Monday, we'll be in New Canaan for a special preview show, followed by a preview show when we'll wash, rinse, repeat, do it all over again. On Tuesday in Darien, and a reporters roundtable on Wednesday at Boyle Stadium in Stamford, of course, the site of the big game. Make sure to purchase access to the FCAC Championship at championships.han.network. Now, on the state schedule for today, it's the Open Diving Finals at Middletown at 5:30. Girls volleyball semis taking place with Greenwich and Southington at Trumbull. 6 o'clock, they will start it. The winner plays Fairfield Ludlow. Girls volleyball, just from outside the region, 2 games in the semis in Class L. Platt and Bristol Eastern, and Ram and Farmington, they will play at SMSA. With sports, I'm Rob Adams. We send it back over to Kate Czaplinski.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. Great sports report today.
Yeah.
Though I was a little hung up on the news that Stratford High beat Bunnell in the girls' flag football competition.
I thought you'd like that one.
Because, I mean, back in the day, I have to say, I was a lineman for the Bunnell team.
Were you really?
Yes, I was, and we lost. But we also lost to Stratford High, but congratulations to all the girls. It's a fun time. But we're going to take a break, come back with a lot more news on your coffee break after this.
It's time to come back to hometown banking, where people are taken into account, not just balances. Where community comes first. A place where there's more than one kind of interest. Where automation will never replace consideration. Where they not only know your name, they know your dog's name too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
In Pound Ridge since 1993, the Wine Connection is one of America's best wine shops. Visit our beautiful store for the greatest in wine and knowledgeable service. With wonderful values from around the world to collectibles for your cellar, we are your one-stop source. Visit our online shop at wineconn.com and make sure to sign up for email updates. With great offers, new arrivals, and special events, don't miss all the action at The Wine Connection, including tastings every weekend. The Wine Connection, located at 32 Westchester Avenue, Pound Ridge, New York.
This fall for our red panda. That's right, Rashawn the red panda will be visiting the Beardsley Zoo for a limited time. Resembling raccoons, red pandas primarily eat bamboo, but will occasionally eat fruits, berries, young leaves, and certain tree bark, like their better-known black and white cousins. As an adult, Rashawn is expected to weigh 10 to 12 pounds, and you can see him at the South American Rainforest exhibit, Connecticut's Beardsley Zoo of Bridgeport. A whole new experience. 875 Noble Avenue, Bridgeport. 203-394-6565.
Find over 1,000 special stories at Hospital for Special Surgery. Go to hss.edu/backinthegame.
I was jogging 5 months after my cartilage tear.
Skiing a year after hip surgery.
And playing grandma 4 weeks after hip replacement.
One special hospital, 1,000 special stories. See Connecticut patients at hss.edu/CT.
Back to school means back to busy, and Stewart's Market can save you precious time by stocking all of your favorite essentials under one roof. For a healthy start to school, we have all the ingredients. Walter Stewart's, your family-owned fresh local market, 229 Elm Street and at stewartsmarket.com.
And we're back on your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, bringing you some of today's latest news in the area, including that Ridgefield residents will have their chance to give their opinions on medical marijuana during a public hearing that's set for Tuesday, December 1st. While the Planning and Zoning Commission has adopted a just say no attitude toward medical pot, calling for an amendment to the zoning regulations to prohibit marijuana dispensaries and grow facilities, this is an opportunity for the public to speak. The hearing will be held at 7:30 in the evening in the Planning and Zoning meeting room at the Town Hall Annex. According to Town Planner Betty Brocious, the public will speak on that. They will certainly be able to voice their opinions. The controversy over medical marijuana has led to some interesting discussion at the Ridgefield meetings. Brocious said a few commissioners said absolute prohibition was not a good thing, but the majority of commissioners had their concerns. The vote to send the proposed amendment to the public hearing was 7-0, with 2 commissioners absent. The commission stated reasons for prohibiting medical marijuana in town include the fact that the federal government still recognizes the substance as a controlled narcotic and that other medical pot facilities are as nearby as Bethel. Also, the scientific case for medical pot's efficiency is not solid, according to First Selectman Rudy Marconi. Well, in other news, Milford animal control officials say that recent cases involving hoarded animals have left their pet food bank low on food and supplies. The pet food bank is available to help residents having trouble feeding their pets, and it is run solely by donations from the public. Animal Control is requesting donations of pet food, toys, treats, and old blankets. Currently, both wet and dry cat food supplies are low, according to Animal Control officials. Items may be brought to the Milford Animal Control at 664 East Broadway, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Milford Animal Control is located in Silver Sand State Park with an entrance located on Meadowside Road. For information, call 203-783-3279 and press 0 during business hours. Monetary donations help offset veterinarian bills and are also appreciated. All right, well, some big news in the area last night. Bass Pro Shops has officially joined Starbucks and Chipotle as open for business at Bridgeport Steel Point Harbor. Bass Pro Shops, which has nearly 90 stores nationwide, serves as the flagship store at Steel Point Harbor waterfront development site. Thousands came out for the opening last night. Some big draws included celebrity guests like former Red Sox and Yankees player Johnny Damon. Our own editorial director John Kovac was there, and we're going to have some great video for you tomorrow on Coffee Break from that grand opening event. But we are going to step out for a quick break, and we're going to come back. Josh Fisher is going to be joining me, and we're going to take a look at the front pages of our HAN Network newspapers today. That's coming up after this.
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332. And online at stratfordsmile.com.
While the temperatures are cooling down, the fall bite is heating up. Albies, bonita, blackfish, alligator blues, and stripers are following the large schools of bait that are abundant in the Long Island Sound. If you love the New England coast during autumn, this is the time to be on the water. The latest from Shimano, Quantum, Avet, Hoagie, Phase 2 and more are in stock and ready to go at the Dock Shop. And don't mind those fall breezes with jackets, hats, gloves, and fleece from Grundens and Stormer. The Dock Shop will keep you warm and dry. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, now in 2 locations, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
Do you do a lot of running around but get nowhere when you're buying a car? Visit Pamby Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram for the one-stop buying experience and stop spinning your wheels.
We're back on your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, joined now by Josh Fisher, who's going to take a look at the front pages of our HAN Network newspapers with me today. Josh?
Okay, 2 weeks in a row.
I know, lucky you, lucky you. Yeah. All right, well, what are you looking at right now,
This is
Josh?
interesting. This is the Reading Pilot outside. Chris Burns has written an article about how the police chief there, Doug Fuchs, is no longer going to be giving out names of those charged with domestic violence.
Yeah, we just read that on Coffee
Right,
Break today.
yeah, so I think that's kind of a
Big
big story, and there's that, it's a question that's going on for a long time. Are you protecting the victims, or are you also then protecting those who perpetrated the crimes? And, you're protecting a man for beating his wife because it was his wife. He doesn't get his name in the paper, but if it was his neighbor, he would get his name in the paper, or a woman, vice versa. But so interesting. And then Shrek the Musical is also going on.
It's a great photo.
And then you'll also find this on the front page of the Eastern Courier, this photo of Shrek at Joe Barlow High School for that regional high school. So yes, Chris Burns doing a good job there in Reading.
Great. All right. Well, I'm looking at the front page of the Trumbull Times. Big story about how many lives police have been able to save due to Narcan. It's been going on a lot. Actually, written by Liz Skelka, our special correspondent.
Oh, yes. That's a good article.
It is a good article, and it's really incredible the number of saves that have happened. Since July, Trumbull police have saved 5 people, 3 between just October 18th and November 9th alone, which also lets you know that the heroin problem is huge, and it's getting worse.
And one thing that's interesting about that story too, Kate, is that because the state medical examiner they tell you where someone dies, so there's not a good stats on who, like, from Trumbull has died of heroin overdose or who from Reading has died, because it depends on where they are. And like is mentioned in that article, they could die at a motel. Like, for example, if someone dies at the Trumbull Mall, they might not be from Trumbull, but Trumbull gets that stat. So
wow, that is interesting. And a photo of some leaf pickup by Steve Coulter. All the leaves are brown. It's happening now. Leaf pickup, so fun.
Yeah.
As well as last week, the story we brought you about the officers injured during that highway chase, but they were okay, and arrest was made there. So. Solid front page of the Trumbull Times this week.
And checking out at what's going on with our friends just across the border in Lewisboro, New York. Katona's DeCicco's. I did say it right the first time. You're going to have to wait till next time. Of course, as many of us who have had A&P grocers in our neighborhoods in our towns have seen, most of them have changed names. DeCicco's is going to have to wait until next year, apparently. It's not going to come this year into Katona after A&P filed for bankruptcy back in July and has closed many stores. So the good people of Katona will have to wait a little bit longer or travel a little bit farther to get their groceries, Kate.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the front page of the Milford Mirror, story that Jill Dion's been following for a while, this murder for hire plot involving Gregory Christofakis and his girlfriend Ziba Guy. They allegedly were planning the 2012 murder for hire plot that targeted Christofakis' ex-wife and his girlfriend's ex-boyfriend. Christofakis was just sentenced this week to 15 years to be suspended after 7 years served. So big story there. Also, the city to demolish house and garage on the Solomon land, which we spoke about on your coffee break earlier this week. And another story we mentioned on Coffee Break was that the school board is agreeing to shorten the walking distances for students getting off at the bus. That was interesting because just last year they made the distances longer to save money because more kids needed to qualify for taking the bus, and now they've shortened it again. So interesting story there.
Moving on to Weston in a story that actually broke right here on Coffee Break by Rob when Kate was off, taking a day off doing God knows what. Gail Weinstein has resigned from the Board of Selectmen. And this was interesting, Kate, because we were here on election night talking about that race, about how close it might be. And Weinstein lost by 110 votes to Nina Daniel, a Republican. And then but she got enough votes to stay on the Board of Selectmen. Just as a regular member, but she announced that she's going to resign. Tomorrow is going to be her last day as a selectman. And Patty Gay, the editor of the Western Forum, broke that story, got it to us here on Coffee Break, and Rob was the first to report it in the state on Tuesday morning.
Wow. Well, the Stratford Star, interesting this week. Not unusual, the Shakespeare Theater is big news. According to the town attorney, the town and the group that are interested in building an inn on that property are close to having an outline for their deal. However, as we saw on election night, Josh, a brand new, pretty much entirely Stratford Town Council has been elected, and those incoming councilors are wary of this plan and not big fans of it. So we'll see if the current council takes a vote on this before those councilors are sworn in. Interesting story. And of course, the officials identifying that Milford man hit by a train in Stratford last week. He was identified as 38-year-old Daniel McCool of Milford, who had been missing for a few weeks. That's too bad.
Over in Easton, along with Shrek being on the front page for Shrek the Musical, once again, we have, I love the New England stone walls that are not the ones built by all the rich people that are perfectly level, but the farmer-style ones that date back way back when. And there's a really interesting story here on the front page of the Easton Courier by Kathy Thompson about the stone wall in front of Samuel Staples Elementary School. in Easton, and so they've recently cleared off a bunch of vines from it. They think that the wall dates back to sometime in the late 1700s, and that's just pretty neat. And I wish that, you know, more. You see a lot of people nowadays. They buy a house that has one of these cool old stone walls in front of it, and they're so obsessed with making it perfectly geometrical that which is just, I think, an abomination.
Well, you know, it's interesting. We've talked about how people come across stone walls in the woods, and they're like, who built this here? Well, it's actually just the reforestation of Connecticut, because it used to be all open farmland,
right.
And now the trees are coming back in, so that's why you'll see those walls.
No, it is. It's cool, and you got to think about it. These were farmlands way back when, and when the farmers were plowing their fields, they'd come across these big stones and then use them to build their walls, to mark property lines, and I don't think they kept cattle in, which a lot of people think, but most cattle can usually handle a 3-foot wall. At least the cattle that I know.
So cattle expert. All right. Well, I'm taking a look at the front page of the Shelton Herald. Great story by Susan Hunter paying tribute to Philip Hubble Jones Jr., who was the patriarch of the Jones farm family. That family's been there 7 generations now. They have who've been running that farm, and he passed away recently, and they had a nice ceremony for him. As well as Police Chief Joel Hurleman and Board of Aldermen member John Papa kind of being honored at a recent meeting, because both are stepping down. Hurleman's retiring, and Papa is decided not to continue serving. So solid front page of the Shelton Herald.
Yeah, definitely. Shelton's a very interesting city, and Aaron Berkowitz is doing a good job since he took over. Big shoes to fill of Brad Jarrell. Moving over to Wilton, where we have more theatrical photos on the front page. Look at that great witch photo.
That is a great photo.
Wilton's Children's Theater is producing The Wizard of Oz now, but also of interest, you see over there on the right, is the Finance Board is setting a 0% operating budget growth target, which must be something that pleases most taxpayers if they see that on the front page of the bulletin today. And I guess they're already talking budgets in Wilton, so that must really excite Kendra Baker, the reporter on this, because there's nothing I know that a community journalist loves more than budget season.
Taking a look at the front page of the Monroe Courier, big story about a longtime police officer fighting for his life, and the Monroe Police Department and the community are determined to help him. Officer Andy Wall is currently receiving treatment for cancer, and the community is kind of rallying around him. And as we mentioned at Coffee Break last week, First Selectman Steve Vavrick released a statement that he really wants to work with the other side of the aisle in Monroe, working with the Democrats. And the Democrats have responded to that statement and said, as an administrator, he has failed. So
yeah, there was some accusations of little plagiarism accusations being made by the Democrats there, saying that he ripped off Tim Herbst's letter that he sent to the Trumbull Times the week before.
Really? Oh
yes.
My gosh, I have to read the entire
So there's
thing.
also, you know, luckily I work, my desk is very close to Donald Eng, the editor of the Monroe Courier, so I heard a lot about this going on this week. I haven't had a chance to read the story yet, but they have Vavrick's letter and Herbst appear side by side on the Monroe Democrats website.
Oh my goodness.
The letters contain several paragraphs that are very similar, sometimes with a few words changed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and just one more story I want to mention on the front page of the Monroe Courier. Monroe family had a close call with elevated CO levels in their house, which they only discovered because their furnace backfired, but it's the silent killer. So good message there, at least, about just making sure you have CO detectors working in your home, especially this time of year.
Well, on Arts and Leisure, which is the B section in all of your Hersom Acorn HAN Network newspapers, The Nutcracker, the New England Academy of Dance, is celebrating its 30th annual production. They have to do this at New Canaan High School every year. It's huge. They have over 500 ballet dancers, 500 students from Westchester and Fairfield counties, from 3 years old to high school seniors who come. The New England Academy of Dance is based in New Canaan, and this draws people from all over to see. It's a rather impressive production they put on over there in New Canaan. So Lois Alacasar did a lovely story on this, and there's also a nice little story here about braised beef.
Beef sounds good.
So the
from
Twice
our
Baked
friends.
Twins. Yes.
Yeah, and we should mention that HAN Arts and Leisure, our show, is on today at 2.
Oh, that's right. And I hear they have a special co-host on it today.
Yay, it's me. So I'll be helping Steve Coulter out today.
We just can't get you away from the camera.
No, I'm just addicted to it. All right, well, taking a look at the front page of the Ridgefield Press, some big news. 17 former Boy Scouts claiming that a former Ridgefielder who died 2 years ago abused them. He was a scout leader, Donald Dennis. The press has covered this story. There's a lot of information out there on it, but the lawsuit, these scouts are bringing a lawsuit against the Boy Scouts of America for this. Also, air and land search in Ridgefield came to a safe end. There was a big search Monday night, and the man showed up okay. They searched the woods, they had helicopters, they had canines. Turned out the man had just gone to a business on Route 7 and left his car abandoned and took a cab back. So, interesting story there. And news we're all excited about, the Ridgebury cell tower roars to life. It's been turned on. Terrible cell service there. Yeah. So excited that that is on.
Right, it's great, too, because after we spent all that time there in Ridgebury at Ridgefield High School this fall for football games, we could see the tower up there on that ridge, but we couldn't actually use it. Right. So that's nice. If you look at I know we just have two papers here left, the Darien Times and the New Canaan Advertiser, and I don't know if Eric can put both of them up there at the same time, but we have them here, and you can see there's a little theme going on here, and it's kind of interesting because on the New Canaan paper, they show, or the Darien paper, they show Mark Avanchak, who set the sack record last week, going after Michael Collins at last year's Turkey Bowl, about to possibly sack him, and then on the front page of the New Canaan Advertiser, it's the opposite. David Strupp is sacking Darien quarterback Timmy Graham. So these two towns, long rivalry. They've been playing football against each other since, there it is, looks nice, Eric, since 1928. And we're excited because this is our, Rob did the play-by-play on HAN radio last year. We had over 16,000 listeners to that big game last year. We're excited to see what sort of viewership we get on live streaming video this year. And okay, you're going to be there too at the Turkey Bowl this year at Stanford. And as Rob mentioned on his sports report earlier, we're going to visit New Canaan High School after school, talk to some players, some students. We have some cool T-shirts to pass out on Monday. Yep. We'll be at Darien on Tuesday. And then we'll be at Boyle Stadium on Wednesday. Roundtable. We'll have some of the top Fairfield County high school sports reporters will be joining us, not only from the HAN network, but also from some of the other media in the area. So, and then we actually play football on Thursday.
We're excited about it.
Yeah,
it's going to be a big week next week.
It's going to be a huge week and very exciting week. This is a very fun game. And I used to think that football didn't really matter in Connecticut until I became editor of the Darien Times. Back in 2005, it got to see Darien and New Canaan play each other in football, and it is just gigantic. We've had 8,000 people, almost 10,000 people showed up in 2008 when these two teams played each other at Boyle Stadium. We had about 8,000 people show up last year at Boyle Stadium, so who knows how many are going to show up this year. It is the FCIAC Championship and the Turkey Bowl all wrapped up together. Third time, 50-year history of the FCIAC Championship. So
awesome, and it'll be my first one, so I'm excited.
Yeah, 50th, golden 50th. Good time to be there in Boyle Stadium. The coolest football stadium in Connecticut.
Definitely. All right, Josh. Well, thanks for joining me.
Thanks.
Good times, great papers as always.
Yes.
On newsstands today, but we are going to wrap up this coffee break. Coming up at 1 o'clock, the Yankee Fisherman, and at 2 o'clock, as we said, HAN Arts and Leisure. So definitely check those out. I'll be back tomorrow at 11. Coffee break. Have a great day.